I tried for a lot of my life to fit into the patterns of what I was taught for how life works. Like, you go to school, you get the good job, you have a family, and that's how life works, I guess. That's what people tell me, anyway. And I'm here with a family and the house and the yard, and I don't think we're doing it right. I think it could be better. We've got this huge disconnect between people and their neighbors. You don't even talk to your neighbors much anymore. It's not what I was expecting. I feel like there are a lot of expectations placed on us to know things that there was never time to teach. Like, who looks after this fence in my yard? I know it's not necessarily my fence just because it's on the edge of my yard. Sometimes it's the neighbor's fence, and I don't know exactly where my property line is. And when I moved in, I didn't know that that was important. I mean, obviously somebody has to look after the fence, but how often do you look after the fence? What do you do to look after a fence? Does it even matter? What happens? My fence is starting to fall down, and I'm not sure I want to fix it. I think it's a divider between us and the people around us, and maybe we needed that in a society where we're told what to do and how to do it and when to do it and why. Actually, not really why. We're not really told why. We're just told that this is how it works and we're supposed to do things this way. Like, have a lawn. Everybody's supposed to have a lawn, this nice, expansive, green, smooth grass, and we go to all kinds of lengths to maintain this lawn. We spray poisons on it to kill insects that are in the grass that we feel are wrecking the grass, and we spray poisons to kill... Okay, so somebody's going to correct me on that. It's not a poison, it's an herbicide. Does it matter if it's making us sick? I don't feel like the semantics matter in that respect. And we're looking at all these different organic foods on the shelves. We're having them tested to see if there's glyphosate in them. And there is. So we're like looking at these companies going, oh my God, these companies that say they don't use these pesticides, they're still using pesticides. And few people actually stop to go look at what an organic certification requires. What pesticides are you allowed to use? Because you're still allowed to use pesticides. What chemicals are you allowed to dump on things? Because you're still allowed to dump chemicals on things. Who's making the rules for this organic certification? And are we considering the impact of mainstream agriculture spraying all of these things all over these... Like, I'm in Saskatchewan, there are fields everywhere full of wheat and canola, and it's fairly well known in farming circles that you spray these with a desiccant so that you can get your crop out all at the same time. It's all at the same stage. And that desiccant that they use is Roundup. So they're spraying it on all of our wheat so that they can dry out the wheat and harvest it all at the same time, and it doesn't wreck their machines. And we're so centered around this industrial practice of agriculture that we're not even thinking of the consequences of when that stuff runs off of the plant. It's water soluble. That's why they say it's harmless to you, because it becomes inactive in water. So the water washes it off of the plants and down into the soil, and the soil runs downhill into our water catchment systems like Buffalo Pound Lake, which is where we get our drinking water from. And then we pipe that water back to the city or to any farms that have running water, though most of them are on like well water. But it's the same ground runoff from the fields. It's still got all the same crap in it. And then you go take that and you water your organic produce with it. And your water has glyphosate in it. So your organic produce has glyphosate in it. It's not that they're like necessarily spraying it, but it's in the water. So yeah, it's in everything now. It's in your body. And there was no consent involved in this. And that's what really gets me, I think, is we usher people through this system of what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to do it. And did anybody ever consent to living this way? Why do we live this way? I don't think it's helping anybody. We're full of depression. So we pop some pills. We're full of disconnection. We feel misunderstood. We can't talk to anybody because if you bring up any of these topics, you get these emotional lash outs from people who don't want to accept that life could have been a different way. But we're just supposed to go with it. We're not supposed to question that this is the way that things are. And if we have an issue with it, well, we could take it up with our local government officials. We can vote in a different party if we think that they might do it better. But I've been sitting here for like 30 years watching you guys talk about politicians and how they lie and how nobody ever follows through on their campaign promises. And you still think that voting is going to change it. You still think that outsourcing action to other people who have proven they have no interest in the action that you would like to see happen, you still think that outsourcing it to them is the answer to your problems. And maybe it's because we've never had control over our bodies and our choices and what we want to do in the world, and we're taught this one way of life and everybody's just supposed to follow it. And anybody who doesn't, we call them crazy. We call them they're either crazy or they're geniuses. They got to follow their passions and they became icons in their field, like Steve Jobs. Yeah, Steve Jobs followed a passion. Did it have anything to do with university? No. Bill Gates followed a passion. Did it have anything to do with university? No. You can go through the list of Forbes, whichever, pick a category, because most of them, it has nothing to do with their schooling. And they're filthy, stinking rich, and everybody thinks that life is about money. And we've made making money such a difficult thing. Like, you have to follow this set pattern of how to make money, and it involves spending countless hours in school dishing out tens of thousands of dollars for a little piece of paper that everybody holds over the heads of those who didn't get the little piece of paper because you must be stupid. You didn't follow the life plan, so you don't have this piece of paper. You must be an idiot. And if you think that people don't treat people like that, go work in a restaurant. Go work in a restaurant. Go be a waitress or a waiter if you're a man, and find out how people really do treat service staff as lesser than. They're the people who are feeding you, and you are treating them like the dirt under your shoe. And that's another thing. The dirt under your shoe, like that's supposed to be a bad thing. The dirt is what gives you life. It's full of microbial activity. It's full of nutrients and minerals that the plants take up into them that you then eat. You eat those plants. You're eating the nutrients and minerals from in the soil, and you think it's worthless. Just like those people who are serving you your food that you don't want to go cook. So we've got this whole paradigm of people with these educations holding their educations over people who don't have educations. And my screen has gone really dark because my battery's about to die. And you know, some of the most intelligent people that I have ever met in my life were the people who dropped out of school. They dropped out of high school and never looked back. They took their education into their own hands and they learned the things that they needed to do to make life work for them. They picked up the skills that they needed to survive, and they had nothing to do with what was taught in school. And yet we keep forcing our children through these school programs, telling them that this is how you make a good life. And I was an honor roll student. I don't think this is the way we need to go. I don't think we need everybody to know the same subsets of information. I think we're in a world full of diverse problems that could use diverse creative solutions to solve them, and we're educating everyone in the same cookie cutter way that was developed like 100 years ago, in a time when we didn't have half of the technology that we have, half of the information available that we have, half of the areas of specialty that we have. And you can specialize. You can specialize from the age of 3 if you want to. If you're so super into dinosaurs that you just never want to get off dinosaurs, you can live an amazing life finding dinosaur bones and researching dinosaurs. And you don't need a school building education to do that. It's not relevant to what you're doing. But we seem to feel like we have to force everybody through the same education system that we went through, even though when I look around, most people aren't really happy they're all struggling with something, and quite often it comes from a sense of not knowing what to do with themselves, what they're meant for. They go to these jobs that pay the bills, but they don't fulfill them. They put in their hours, and at the end of the day, they come home and they binge on Netflix so they can stop thinking about having to go to work the next day at this job that's sucking their soul. And we're never given any time or space to sit and think about what we might actually be drawn to doing. And my generation especially was taught this: you can be anything you want to be. You can be successful doing what you want to do. You can do anything. And I don't think that's not true. I've heard a lot of people say that that's not true. That's a dream. You can't follow that. And I think it's true, but I don't think it comes from cookie cutter education. I don't think that's going to get us into our own unique passions. I think that's going to tell us that these things that they say that we need to learn are more important than our passions, to the point that we let go of our passions because we're busy doing the thing that's going to help us survive. And you get to the end of it to find out that your learning doesn't stop. There's no end to learning. You're going to continue learning for the rest of your life. And they say school was preparing you for life, and 14 years out, I've had to forget pretty much everything I knew from school. School taught me a lot of things, and none of them helped me. School taught me to ignore a lot of passions. Our school systems are cutting art and music all over the place because they don't have funding. And art and music are the foundations of our creativity. And in a world that needs so many diverse and creative solutions to the problems we've created, I don't think that's right. And we've got a lot of the older generation talking about the problems with youth today. Oh, well, the youth today would care more about the environment if they spent more time outside playing. And you know what? You are the generation that spent your entire childhood out running around the neighborhood with the other kids, doing whatever you wanted, playing in the local creek that was actually clean, making mud pies with mud that didn't have glass in it. And who ruined it? Because it sure wasn't the kids today that dirtied up those river streams. It sure wasn't the kids today that regulated play out of existence. It sure wasn't the kids today who populated or destroyed every inch of natural habitat around us. That wasn't the kids today. And if the kids who played in nature could do that to nature, I think we're still missing the point here. The point is, in our value system, we value only what you cannot see, what you must pry and work hard to get at. Like, gold is one of the most worthwhile things on this planet. And how much of the planet do you have to rip up to find gold or cobalt used in every electronic device you have, mined by children who are in indentured slavery in Africa, while you sit here in Canada and complain about how Walmart can't pay their employees a living wage, while Walmart is supporting child slavery in India to get their shirts made. People are asleep. They don't understand what's valuable. We've held up money as this extremely valuable thing that everybody should chase, and we're destroying our natural habitat to get it. And people still aren't happy. You're still not happy. You can look at some of the most successful people in the world, people you view as successful because they have a ton of money and they can do anything they want, and you cry when they die of a drug overdose because you just don't get it, that it's not about the money. It's about the connection with the people around you. It's about the connection to the earth in front of you that feeds you. It feeds you. It gives you life, and we're destroying it for money. And we've got all of our kids funneled into these schools, trying to push them into these awesome jobs that make you a lot of money, because money is how you live, and money is what's destroying us. Or at least our concepts of how you have to get money. I don't think money itself is evil. It's a tool. It's a trading tool. It's the universal currency for your value to give to other people that they give back to you, and you can use it to buy anything you need. money is valuable in that respect, but when you place it above the health of your environment, it just doesn't make any sense. And this is what we're pushing people into through our education. We're not pushing them to care about the environment. We're pushing them to care about money. And we're not even giving them good ways of making money. We're giving them destructive ways of making money. We're telling them that their soul's calling will not make them money. And I think that's a farce. Because you can look at like some of the most well-known people, they're just following their passions. Pick a comedian, any comedian. And I bet you they weren't going to make it as much in school because they were the class clown, acting out, distracting the students. And look at them up on that stage making $10,000 for every appearance they make at a college. Why can't we follow our passions? Why are we steered away from them every time we express a desire to learn a passion? We're told, well, that's not going to make you any money. Well, we live in the world of the internet now. Go take a look on the internet. See how many people are making money off of their passions. People like to laugh at the folks on House Hunters when they've got their $3 million budget and they make YouTube videos of cats. Ha ha ha. Yeah, no, seriously, you can make millions of dollars making videos on YouTube of cats. That's not my calling, but I'm not going to jump down anybody's throat who does it. If you feel like you need to make more impact, you can make videos like this, talking to people about what you think is wrong with the world and how to fix it. Your choice.